Captain's Log Supplemental. We've stumbled into some sort of temporal anomaly, vortex field. I don't know. I have had several days to mull over it in the last few hours. Well, I guess that sentence needs some explaining. So it's not really doing too much to the ship, thankfully. The crew's rosters are working all in accordance with how they should be. You know, the decks aren't getting warped around. You know, people aren't falling back into the Middle Ages or anything weird like that, so it's fine. Really, the only big effect so far is that in the corridor leading from my room to the turbo lift, there is some kind of dilation effect where it takes me a whole day to walk that route. Now, it doesn't actually, externally take that much time. It still just takes a couple of seconds as if I had walked it at a normal speed. And inside the vortex itself, it doesn't seem like I need to eat. I don't seem to get tired. But man, it has been very annoying having to walk an entire day just to get back to my room. Shit, I just realized I left my duty roster tablet in there.
Welcome everybody to Captain's Log Supplemental. As always, we are a Star Trek Rewatch podcast, and I am joined by my good friends Stanford.
Hello.
And Rob.
Hello. Was that a temporal anomaly?
What a temporal anomaly?
You just said, welcome 3 times.
You did. It sounded like
welcome.
It said, Sunday.
Gotta hype it up, man. I mean, this is a very exciting episode of Star Trek. But as always, we are also joined by friend and producer Mariah.
Hi there.
Just as a reminder, we would greatly appreciate it if you rate, review, subscribe, tell all your friends about it. We are on, YouTube.
Yeah, we're on
so
YouTube
you can watch us
now.
there as well. And getting some good traffic there.
Yeah, I should know the name of the channel. It's Captain's Log Supplemental. If you look up Captain's Log Supplemental, we come up. I think it's PodCLS is the @ name. But I'm not sure that actually matters on YouTube that much.
Yeah, I looked it up by Captain's Log Supplemental. So
yeah, we're getting.
Same.
I'm putting shorts out every day because TikTok told us to go fuck ourselves. So
Yeah.
I went over to YouTube and we're getting some traction on those. We've gotten not only have we.
It is podcls.com.
Oh, podcls.com is our links site. Yes. At some point, I'll have Chris redo the tag at the end of the episodes. The shorts have been getting some good traffic. We're up a few dozen subscribers on YouTube, which is kind of fun. But we've also had a bunch of more downloads this week. So I think
nice.
that's actually gonna kind of get us punched through a little bit.
good to hear. Do we have any? I didn't come with any banter today.
Yeah, we have to. Is this the mandatory banter period? Is that what
we could skip mandatory banter period.
Preordained banter. I thought I had banter. I always have banter. I don't remember what it was.
All right, well, moving on. All right,
Oh,
with that.
shit! No, fuck you. I got it. So,
Okay.
so on Sundays, Liam and I fold laundry and watch usually Star Trek. We were watching Voyager, but today he's like, "Can we watch Star Trek Discovery?" And I'm like, sure, man. Mariah and I have been watching the latest season 5, which what did I call? Oh, it's season 5, which I'm calling Escape Room, because that's the entire, how the show has been going this season. But as you know, that after having watched this show for 4.5 seasons, we have been affectionately calling it Star Trek Speeches, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So,
Oh my God.
I'm like, okay, so I'm about to watch the first episode again. Boy, they start that speeches shit right away. Like that, I didn't realize. I thought that they had kind of fallen into it, but no, they were like, there's so many speeches in the first 5 minutes of that fucking show.
Yeah, they Star Trek Speeches starts with speeches for sure.
Yeah,
doesn't it kick off with Georgiou telling Burnham how to be a good captain or something?
Yeah. after Burnham, in the worst dialogue I've ever heard, like, recites the entire, like, mission that they're actively on right now for no reason. Like,
Gotta tell the audience, man.
Yeah, exactly. And that's clearly what it was, but it was not done in even a pretend, like, way.
Natural way, yeah.
No
Like-
captain's log.
You know how in Star Wars movies, of course, we know what's going on because they start with that crawl. Well, in this, in Star Trek speeches,
It's a
someone
speech.
just spoke the crawl at us. So
Fantastic. So let's get into the episode today. So this is episode 7 of season 3, The Shipment. The Shipment.
I
We,
got
an
a
extra
question.
syllable.
Yeah.
How come stuff that's sent by car is called shipment, but stuff that's sent by ship is called cargo?
I hate you.
I know.
Fuck.
Yeah, I killed him early.
All right. Well, we start with a little recap, which trivia
is
note.
weird.
This recap starts with Star Trek. Or hold on, where was it? I had a trivia note on this. Edit
This
the
is
shit
an
out. Hold on.
excellent trivia note. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, so this episode starts as previously on Star Trek Enterprise, whereas any other episodes that starts with recaps, either prior to this or after, are previously on Enterprise. So it just they, for whatever reason, decided to add the Star Trek in there today
That's
on that
weird.
episode.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Side note, like, why do shows do this?
Well, actually, wait, the recap or the...
Yeah, the recap.
So, real quick, before we get to that question, that piece of trivia is interesting because, like, prior to season 3, this show was only called Enterprise.
Really?
Yeah, like, when it was on, like, TV and shit, they just called it Enterprise. It didn't get called Star Trek Enterprise in any of, like, the ad copy and shit
Interesting.
until season 3.
Weird.
That must be part of why they changed it for that one, but it is odd that they didn't go back to it after that either.
But go ahead, Rob. What was your question?
Like, why do they insist on doing these recap things?
I don't know why this one got a recap. Usually recaps happen when it's like a cliffhanger episode, right? Just because
Yeah.
like that doesn't happen very often in Star Trek, so they throw those recaps in that Luxana reads to you in the computer voice.
Right.
But like
Yeah,
I
or
don't
like when
know
a
why this
finale
one-
carries over into like
Right,
the first episode of a new
Right.
season. I get it.
Reasons.
yeah, I don't know why this particular episode got a recap.
Yeah. So we get the recap, tell us what happened last, and then the Xindi meeting about testing the weapon on some planet. They apparently need a bunch of chemosite, which, second trivia note of the evening, chemosite is obviously a key ingredient to the Xindi weapon. It was also apparently the substance in the hold of Quark's ship in Little Green Men, one of your favorite episodes of DS9, Rob. And it is what caused the ship to travel back in time to the 1950s, apparently. So
I
thought
do
that was
I do
interesting as well.
appreciate that the Xindi have decided not to test this weapon just on Earth.
Yeah. They're like, well, we'll test it out somewhere else instead of, on our enemy's planet. In the
Are you okay?
Yeah, just allergies. In the control center of Enterprise, Archer and Paul are discussing their scans of the planet that the telepath gave them the coordinates to. Apparently, it's not very well defended. Just some production facilities. So they said, Archer says, we got nowhere else to go, so we're going to check this place out. They're going to kind of hide behind the moon of the planet and send an away team to it, which is includes Major Hayes gets in on this mission along with Archer and Reed.
I don't care for the fact that Reed comes in and is like, as long as we can rely on the data from Hoshi's telepathic friend, which is like, A, you didn't have to be snarky, and B, calling him Hoshi's telepathic friend is a little insensitive considering that she was basically kidnapped by him.
Yeah. Held prisoner, yeah.
Like, also, so this is kind of a weird situation because early on they established the fact that Reed does not like the Makos, right? All of a sudden, it doesn't seem like it's a problem anymore. Like, the way that they talked about it on, like, some of the wiki pages that we've gone through for, like, episodes earlier this season, They made it seem like that was going to be an arc through the whole season, was like the Makos kind of coming into their own as members of the Enterprise crew.
I assume they're on their own, that they've come into that already. Because, like
it seems like it.
Like, they're good. Like, they're there. Yeah. I don't know. I don't specifically remember that being a long-term arc. I just remember them being there every once in a while.
Yeah. They were, I mean, I think they were just, I agree. I think they were just kind of there on, like, certain missions, and I don't think they added a whole lot to the story, to be honest.
No, it's just that guy in the back in the jizz camo, yeah.
So yep, they make their way down to the planet. Because comms are breaking up as they head down. But they eventually land and find the Ziddy base. Archers.
I like that the Marines in, like, camo, to break up his allies and stuff. But Reed and Archer are just in, like, some shiny windbreakers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's it's Enterprise camo. That's what that is.
They blend right in with other members only.
Mm-hmm, yeah. All the other guys. Archer lets the Enterprise know that they're going to infiltrate the base. It's time to get sneaky, so they break into some, like, side hatch thing, just like a giant sewer grate or something on the side of the building.
It's very secure.
Yeah. They go in through there and end up in some kind of room, looks almost like a lab. They find some cannons of some radiolytic compound, but have to hide as pretty much as soon as they get there as some group of Xindi arrive. Which, by the way, in the descriptions of this episode, they refer to these as the Sloth Xindi, which I thought was interesting.
Oh.
Yeah,
we've heard them called, like, arboreal, so sloth makes sense.
Well, because there are two arboreal species of Xindi. There's the ape ones, which are just the human-looking ones, and then there's the sloth ones, which are these. And fun note, these two scientists or engineers, I'm not really sure what their title is. They come in and are complaining about the impurities in the chemosite that they're processing. Mm-hmm. The impurities actually come from their own fucking hair. These are the hairiest animal humanoids that have ever existed.
Did you notice the little patch, like the emblem that they wore on their shoulders?
No.
It looks very similar to, like, the Klingon emblem.
Huh. Interesting.
I was probably covered by too much hair. I couldn't see it.
By the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, but apparently at this point, the Enterprise has been in the Expanse for 3 months, which doesn't seem like enough. Like, I feel like they should have been
very
there
short
for far longer. Anyway, so yeah, the Xindi come in and they're talking about the chemosite and synthesizing it. They after that those Xindi leave, they beam one of the canisters to Enterprise for analysis.
Yeah, and I guess they solved whatever the radio interference issue was.
Yeah, I agree, because it never was an issue again.
Because it was an issue because they couldn't beam anybody in. They said that, and they couldn't like get a good reading on the facility because there was some kind of screen or something blocking it. So they didn't have good, like, scanners. That's why they had to go down on foot. And now that they're here, they're just able to talk all of a sudden, and they can beam shit out. Like, I don't understand. What was the point of that storytelling element? All right.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just basically in Enterprise, you have to make reasons for why the energizing, fucking shit from the Earth or from the planet is not possible. So
it would have made more sense for them to look at it and go, yeah, there's definitely a facility down there, but, like, from space, we can't tell what they're doing, so we need someone to go see what, like...
Right.
Like, I could just beam up random equipment till we get something that looks important, but that's not going to help,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, we can't see through the buildings. You have to go look. I mean, that would have been fine. Anyway, Reed and Hayes suggest blowing up the base, but Archer wants to find out more about what's going on so they can, locate the weapon.
Yeah, he says blowing up the base would not work for their main objective. I would like him to clarify what exactly their main objective is, because I am very unclear.
I guess their main objective is to find the weapon, which I guess they thought
so.
They were going to do here. But
yeah, but no, this is just a facility that makes shit related to it. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're either working on starting a war or stopping a war. It's unclear at this point.
Well, they're trying to stop a war. It's just unclear whether or not they're actually going to start it on the way.
Yeah, yeah. So instead of doing a little demolition, they decide to do some B&E instead, and break into one of the Zindi guys' house, who just so happens to be the head honcho of the facility. Greylick is his name.
Greylick.
Yeah, Greylick, which, trivia note, actor is John Cawthron, who makes his third outing into the Star Trek franchise. The last, probably his most recognizable one before was Captain Nudak in The Chase in Next Generation, where he challenged Commander Data in 10 Forward to the Ba'at Key challenge.
That is him.
Mm-hmm. So they break into Greylick's house, and we get some intimidating Archer, which by that I mean not intimidating Archer.
I have intimidating Archer, and intimidating in quotes.
I have some questions for you.
This guy is great, though. This guy's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He was.
Yeah, he did a great job. I thought he was fantastic in this episode.
It almost felt like they were calling back toward like the Andorians on Pajem, like with the level of paranoia the humans had here.
Mm. Interesting. So yeah, Greylick doesn't seem to understand why the humans are there. He has no knowledge of the Zindi attack on Earth, and gives them kind of just a basic overview of what chemicide is. He says it's used for many things, and basically is just kind of, I don't want to say playing dumb, because he genuinely does not know what the fuck these humans want. Until Archer asks him about Degra, and at which point he kind of clams up a bit.
Mm-hmm. This guy, by the way, so fucking cool, he needs 3 belts to keep it all in.
3 belts, yep. So yeah, he refuses to talk about Degra, but Archer kind of pokes and prods him on it. Back on the Enterprise, Trip and T'Pol confirmed chemicide was used in the weapon that attacked Earth. So we get that confirmation there. At this point, Reed is incredibly ready to blow up the base. He's like, let me do it.
Yeah, I said Reed sounds like a douche here.
Archer does show empathy for the motivation of the Zindi at this point, and is kind of struggling with what they have to do, or what they may have to do, at least immediately, as far as potentially blowing up this facility and killing what seem to be just kind of, I don't want to say innocent bystanders, but certainly people who really have no knowledge or really anything to do with the goals of the Zindi that attacked Earth.
See, I thought he was more like reticent about potentially having to kill Greylick to like protect their like covert operation.
Yeah, I think it was both. Yeah.
I just gathered he didn't want to hurt anybody who lived in the town outside the facility, like, because he was talking about setting up blast suppressors in order to keep the blast contained inside the facility. Which, I don't know, the word blast suppressor just seems stupid to me.
Right. It's like, you just made that up to give us an option. Yeah. So yeah, Archer does make it sound like they may need to kill Greylick to keep him quiet. At which point Archer throws a chunk of the probe from that attacked Earth at Greylick, who's like, I don't know what the fuck this is, you psychopath. This is a hunk of metal.
Piece of metal. He's like, what are you doing? Explain this, dickwad.
This.
Like, if you threw a fucking piece of metal on my desk and was like, explain this, and it was like it was a part of an airplane, I'd be like, okay, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he says, I have no idea what you're talking about. It had nothing to do with the weapon. Back on Enterprise, they open up one of the Zindi rifles that from the captured guy, and they find some weird gooey things in them, which, ew, to this whole plot line.
They were maggots.
I'm not really
They're canonically like maggot magazines for rifles.
Maggot zines.
Magazines.
I'm not really certain. Maybe it'll come back, but I'm not really certain the purpose of this particular B plot.
I think this was filler, to be honest with you.
It may have been. I found it to be kind of silly on its face, because, like, why haven't they taken these guns apart weeks ago?
It's a good question. They just didn't have the time.
I guess
Did
not.
not have the time. So yep, they little magazines pop out and new ones come in their place. They help apparently regulate the energy of the weapon. Back on the planet, Greylick admits the chemosite came from their colony, but confirms he had no idea what it was for.
We get some light Zindi on Zindi racism here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he does seem to kind of have to be sorry for it. And you know, certainly at least acknowledges their fault and their kind of, I don't know, greed for the order and not asking more questions as far as what it was going to be used for. Which kind of definitely, you know, endears him to the audience.
The fact that he seems like a kindly grandpa, like, endears
Right.
him to the audience.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah,
well, I don't know what you're talking about. Come get some cookies and let's just chill by this
Why don't
fire."
you sit on my lap and tell me what's wrong?
He
Does,
just looks like a sloth Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's lost it.
So, like, do we ever see him again later on in the rest of Enterprise?
Fuck if I know, man. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, come tell
I
Papa
think-
Greylick what's wrong. What's the matter?
Yeah, so Greylick does talk to Archer about the extinct avian species of the Zindi and how their home planet was destroyed by the reptilians and insectoids, because, you know, them reptilians and insectoids always be trying to blow stuff up.
And they brought up Rob's question from like season 1, like the episode 1 of the season. They brought up it's weird that so many different sentient species evolved on your planet. And he's like,
Yeah.
It's not just 5, it's 6. Yeah. Keeping that intrigue point alive for you, Rob.
Thanks.
He's like, I would like to think that they didn't know what they were doing, because they like apparently set explosives underneath like the mantle of their planet or something, which was already unstable. And you know, oops, all explosions, and the planet exploded. So at this point, Hayes lets Archer know that the dampeners are in place. The explosion dampeners
The explosion
For-
suppressors, yeah. The blast
for-
suppressors.
for dampening the explosions. They're in place.
I think
and,
so. I think, and if I understand it correctly, I believe blast suppressors work like noise canceling headphones, where they basically just set off another explosion, but in the opposite direction.
In the opposite, yeah, 100%
Yeah.
correct.
It's like
That
a
is exactly
claymore,
how they work. Yeah. He does also. Hayes also mentions that it seems like something's going on at the facility. We kind of cut to the another Zindi ship landing, and some reptilians and Degra are there. Back on Enterprise in 6 Bay, Phlox talks about how the gooey worms regulate power output of the weapon. He then goes on about how he was torturing these worms.
Okay, I have a question. And
He's like, yeah, I was doing all this shit to them.
I was, and like, here's the thing. Do we remember the Cum Monster episode?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where
Yep.
Phlox very specifically was like, I am not going to hurt this creature. Now he's like,
Yep.
yeah, I just dosed these fuckers with every radiation I could find and see what hurt. Like, such a 180.
Yep.
He's like,
He's at war,
he's got a whole
Matthew.
jar of dead ones. He's like, I killed all these motherfuckers. And he's got a whole jar of alive ones like these ones, though. Whew.
Yeah, he's like, Omicron radiation, man, that gets these worms horny.
That better come back.
Yeah. So we get that fun aside there. But back on the planet, Greylick explains that the Zindi are there for their shipment, and offers to Archer to obtain information from the Zindi as far as what's being used, see if he can get anything, you know, that's useful to him. He says he won't let his work be corrupted. You know, of course, killing 7 million people has already kind of done that, but so 2 Zindi are heading for Greylick's house because he's missing at this point and hasn't, you know, met with the people expecting their shipment. But they leave when he doesn't answer the door. While everybody's kind of hiding quietly.
Archer and him hide in there, a la like when Mormons come and knock on your door and you have to hide. Like,
Exactly. Back on Enterprise, they are doing weapons testing with the Zindi rifle, which goes great. The Reptilian and Degra are annoyed that their shipment isn't ready. and they personally go looking for Greylick. At this point, Greylick and the away team have kind of run into the forest to try to, I don't know, temporarily hide from the others.
Okay.
Indeed.
All right, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So they're running through the forest, like you do, like that Robin Hood song.
Robin Hood and Little John.
Yeah. So So fucking Captain Archer and Lieutenant Reed running through the forest.
Archer and Greylick running through the forest.
So they're going through the forest, and I guess like they come to an area where they're like, oh no, there's drones coming toward us, right? And by the way, these drones are fast as shit.
Very fast.
Then Reed, like, they're continuing to advance, and he decides that the best tactical way to do so is to do this little, like, skiddly jump up onto a rock for, like, a second or two, and then he hops back down, and I cannot figure out why the fuck he got up on that rock.
Dude, tactical Reed is the best Reed.
Parkour.
It's so stupid.
It's definitely, if you've seen that episode of The Office, it's fucking just parkour.
And understand that, like, I watched this episode this week after having been making, like, shorts for us for the last 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh, that motherfucker's going on YouTube for that shit.
No, Chris, you are absolutely right, though. Reed is totally the Dwight of Enterprise.
The
parkour.
Dwight.
Gosh. They're being pursued by the drones. Eventually, they kind of get cornered, and then they just start blasting. Although one of the drones escapes. Greylick at that point suggests hiding in a cave to hide from the Seekers because the scans can't penetrate it or some such.
While they're shooting at the drones, like Archer is shooting at a drone, he takes a shot, and then Reed crosses directly in front of his phaser. And then he takes another shot. So I don't know what... Like, Reed may be the most tactically inept person that has ever existed.
He's comically awful.
You do not walk into a buddy's path of fire.
He's doing...
The other
good.
thing I noted was, like, all of his shots missed.
Yeah, Reed didn't hit shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very, very not good. When... sorry, last choice. So back on the ship. On Enterprise, Trip is trying to fire the weapon.
They are doing a weapons test with no eye protection, no ear protection. It's like, how about you shoot this in the garage and see what happens?
Trigger, see what happens, y'all.
He was in engineering, around core engineering components.
Yeah.
He didn't even go somewhere not important.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like DePaul even said, like, should we do this somewhere else? He's like, I got it, man.
He's like, nah, it'll be fine. But like, because she said like we need to find like an abandoned asteroid or some shit to fire this on, and he's like, we don't have time for that. Which is like, okay, fair. Like there's a reasonable discussion there, but like you don't go straight from the abandoned asteroid to right next to every single important component on the ship.
It's the cargo bay type situation.
This is the most Florida Trip has ever gotten on Enterprise.
It had to come out at some point. So yeah, he pulls the trigger and then immediately activates his self-destruct. Luckily, the countdown has just enough time for him to make it to the
transporter, like beam it out.
Transporter pad, yeah, transporter pad, and beam it off the ship, and then it explodes. And he's like, "Well, guess fuck that went up."
Shit, I'm gonna need me another one of them rifles.
At this point, Paul talks to Archer and urges him to come to the ship, and he says, "We got some loose ends to tie up."
Which, I have a question. Which ones? What loose ends? Because, like, I cannot figure out, because they beam up a sample of the shit. So, like, they've got everything they came here for. What loose end do we have to tie up?
They didn't find out about the weapons yet.
Greylick told him everything.
Yeah.
It's Reed. They need to deal with Reed.
Still trying to figure out why he got on that rock.
Yep. At this point, Greylick confronts Archer about what he plans for him in the facility. He's like, "You're going to kill me, right? Like, I feel like you're going to kill me."
Which, to his credit, he has been given no evidence to the contrary.
Right. Archer says, "No, I'm not going to kill you or blow up your facility." And he decides to trust Greylick. And they come up with a plan to, although we don't learn this immediately, they come up with a plan to sabotage the shipment of Chemosite. Reed is not on board with trusting Greylick, and Hayes agrees. But Archer says, fuck y'all. I'm gonna
Reed's
do what
like,
I want.
so why don't we just commit a genocide instead?
I much prefer the option where I get to blow something up.
You know what? My people invented the concentration camp. I'm sure we could use a couple of here.
Oh,
Yeah, Reed's a dick. Like, I don't understand.
So Greylick goes back to the facility, tells his coworkers to fuck off. I got this. You bitches don't know what you're doing.
This is where he's like, we had to check for the purity, and he's like, man, he's like, we need to make sure the purity count is less than 6 such and suches, and I'm like, yeah, less than 6 hairs per container.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough to keep all that out of there.
It's the Greylick promise is less than 6 hairs per tube of chemosite.
Yeah. So very quickly, Degra and the Zindi come and are all angry and stuff at Greylick. And tell you what, he is a smooth talker. He's like, bitch, I was hunting. Your fucking drones are strong.
He was so good.
He scared off my prey.
he was.
He's like, I was looking for a squirrel, and your drones pissed him off. Thanks,
I was
dick.
like, fuck you, bitch. Bam. And they're like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They really accepted this.
They bought that hook, line, and sinker. They were ready to go for that.
Well, I think they buy it because, like, it's clear every single one of these Zindi species seems to hate each other.
Yeah, that is true.
They do seem to not get along.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I don't know if we mentioned this, but, like, these guys are also, like, early for their shipment. So
Yes.
Yeah.
they don't really have a good foot to stand on anyways, because they're pretty much like, where the fuck's our shit? And Greylick's like, dude, I told you it'd be ready in 3 days. Fuck off. You're lucky you're getting anything right now.
Yeah. So yeah, at this point, Archer and his team are kind of monitoring the Zindi ship. We get some fantastic bad CG running, where Archer is making his way down to the ship. He infiltrates the Zindi ship and does something to the chemosite.
Okay, so here's what he did to the chemosite.
Put more hair in it.
Yeah, they put a human hair in it so they can find it. No. So they said they had that sample back up on the ship, and Hoshi said that they adjusted the radiolytic signature. Now, I don't know what that means because it sounds made up. However, what it sounds like is basically like they made like this one give off a slightly different radioactive signal so that they can find it. And then they're putting that tube back in the shipment that is going on the shuttle up to wherever. Now, I don't understand how that helps them track it, but they're acting like it's some kind of GPS signal.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what Archer's doing. He's jumping up onto their ship to put that tube back into their stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and naturally, you send the captain on a mission like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, the
Alone.
elevator slowly
Not the
goes
Marine.
up. He, like, drops his tube off. Then the elevator slowly goes down. And I will say, Archer, to his credit, he sticks by those OSHA regulations because he does not dismount that elevator until it is well and securely on the floor of the ground.
When you've got such a smooth talker like Greylick there to keep the guys busy and
Just
seeing.
go ahead and
he's basically faced
wait
from the
until
A-team.
that
He's
elevator
just like,
is
look over here.
100% down. It needs to be on the ground before you step off.
The Zindi need to hire whoever made the little X-ray machine in Enterprise. That thing flies.
Yeah, this is the slowest elevator in the entire goddamn world. And Archer's like, I'm gonna wait.
So while Archer is following OSHA regulations, Degra and the Reptilians are talking to Greylick, and he's kind of distracting them. And Degra mentions the humans are ruthless and will destroy the Zindi. And Greylick's like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
That was a good moment because Greylick's like, "Ah shit, ah fuck."
Yeah. Yep. So after Archer kind of fucks off of the ship. We kind of get a scene afterward where Greylick's like, hey, so I guess I probably betrayed some guys. Is that what happened? Archer's like, nuh-uh, trust me. Okay, bye.
And then, Greylick goes in for the most aggressive, like, clinking of glasses you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like a toast. Ah! He, like, charges him with his cup.
He was very excited about the toast.
It's the kind of excitement that can only be contained by 3 separate belts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's important.
Oh,
Yep.
I think I looked that up. I think that the Arboreal Zindi, like that's a measure of rank, is how many belts you have. I feel like I read that somewhere.
I can't tell if you're lying.
No. I'm gonna look it up.
I think all of the ones I saw had 3 belts.
Yeah, arboreals wore belts that seemed to indicate their position. For example, the arboreal representatives on the Zindi Council wore 5 belts, whereas the boreals who were assigned to the chemocyte refinery wore 3 belts. An arboreal who became infected with the Lokek mutagenic virus, and was then incinerated to death, also wore 3 belts.
I didn't even know that was one.
Yeah, he died so fast I couldn't tell.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up the episode. At this point, we will do our rating of the episode on a scale of 1 to 5, with 0 being threshold. Let's start with Rob today.
This is a 3. It was pretty standard Trek. I did not like the B plot, but the A plot was fine. It was good.
Stanford.
I like Greylick.
I guess, I don't know, I was kind of at a 2, but I think I might go up to a 3. Greylick was good. It was pretty...
Why 2, though? Why were you possibly at a 2? That seems low.
You said that seems low?
It seems low.
It felt a little slow in its pacing for what we accomplished, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Not that, not enough happened, but that, the individual scenes were slowly paced for the amount of, things that we were trying to cover. It seemed like we were taking too much time with some of the scenes and not enough time with the ones that were, more important. But after, I don't know, after talking with y'all about it and having a couple days to think about it, I think I might be a 3. It is kind of standardy. It's going to be definitely the low end of a 3 for me, but I think I can comfortably at least round it to a 3.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm a 3 too. 3 as well. I like Greylick's character in it. I thought he was interesting, and I think provided a good perspective on the war and the conflict with the humans, and kind of definitely adds some depth to the Zindi. So I think that was enough to bump it up to a 3 for me. But yeah, generally pretty enjoyable.
Greylick carried the episode.
He did. All 3 belts of him.
All 3 belts.
He's a 3-belt man. 3 stars.
Ooh, man. Oh, man. If we ever have our own, custom rating, whatever, we're going to do it in belts.
3
this episode was a 3 out of 5 belts.
3. Oh, man. All right. Well, when we get back, we will get into our deep dive for the episode. Welcome back, everybody. All right, so for our deep dive episode, I wanted to this kind of inspired me to kind of look into some more famously historical traitors, because we kind of ended the episode with Greylick kind of thinking about him possibly being a traitor, which I guess in this
traitor.
Traitor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said trader.
Traitor.
Traitor, Traitor.
Yes.
Yes. A Benedict Arnold. Okay.
Yes.
I thought you said trader, like one who sells shit. And I'm like, okay.
No. Traitor.
Right, that seems weird.
Traitor.
Okay, a traitor.
Traitor.
Yeah, but nobody says it that way. So
Rodiart. Right.
Man.
Okay.
I wanted to go kind of touch on a few more of the more famous ones, and maybe some possible motivations for why they were traitor. Obviously, in this episode of Star Trek, we kind of said, he didn't want his work corrupted by the murder of people, which seems like good motivation. In my research and looking into this, I don't think some of the more famous ones had that good of a motivation for becoming traitors. And with that, I will start with probably one of the most famous ones is Benedict Arnold, as you mentioned.
Oh, shit. You mean historical, in the real world?
Yes, in the real world.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Star Trek.
No.
Yeah,
I was there's Michael Burnham was kind of a traitor.
No.
All the Maquis.
The Maquis. Oh, that'd be a good one, too. No, Chris, redo your deep dive. We're doing it.
We'll give you 5 minutes.
Shit.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? And I'm going to admit this before you talk about him. I am an American. I obviously know the expression Benedict Arnold. I cannot tell you what he did. I know he's Revolutionary War era, but I do not know what he actually did.
It was specifically the Revolutionary War.
Yes.
Right, like he betrayed us, I assume, to the British, but I don't know what.
So mostly it was like giving plans and information to the British Army, without getting too in depth to it. He was actually a pretty well decorated officer in the army before his betrayal, but historians have identified many possible factors contributing to Arnold's treason. While some debate their relative importance. According to W.D. Well Farrell, who is a historian, among the hardest human beings to understand in American history, did he become a traitor because of all the injustice he suffered, real and imagined, at the hands of the Continental Congress and his jealous fellow generals, because of the constant agony of 2 battlefield wounds and an already gout-ridden leg, from psychological wounds received in Connecticut childhood when his alcoholic father squandered his family's fortunes, or was it a kind of extreme midlife crisis, swerving from radical political beliefs to reactionary ones? A change accelerated by his marriage to the very young, very pretty, very Tory Peggy Shipment. Weatherall says the shortest explanation for his treason is that he married the wrong person. Apparently his wife has a very heavy impact on him. Okay. Yes, we're blaming the woman. Arnold had been badly wounded twice in battle. Jeez. Had lost his business in Connecticut, which made him profoundly bitter. He grew resentful of several rival and younger generals who had been promoted ahead of him and given honors which he thought he deserved. Especially galling was a long feud with the civil authorities in Philadelphia, which led to his court-martial. He was also convicted of 2 minor charges of using his authority to make a profit. General Washington gave him a light reprimand, but it merely heightened Arnold's sense of betrayal nonetheless. He had already opened negotiations with the British before his court-martial even began. He later said in his own defense that he was loyal to his true beliefs, yet he lied at the same time by insisting that Peggy was totally innocent and ignorant of his plans. Once again, blaming the woman.
Is it possible
at least he didn't blame the woman.
He was just like, offered some fucking money?
This actually plays into my next one, but we'll get there.
Because, I think it's Jason Pargin, an author, and a guy I follow on TikTok, who said, Hollywood always likes to make, these big deals about, they betrayed because of their beliefs, or right. They were tortured, or they held hostages, or whatever.
They were offered something.
When it's like, most of the time, people who did something that you weren't expecting is because they were offered a briefcase full of money. Because,
Yep.
it doesn't take all that much money for someone to be like, yeah, I'll kill someone, fuck it. This is $7 million. Who gives a shit?
A shockingly small amount of money.
Yeah, for sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they go on and on. As early as 1778, there were signs he was unhappy with the situation and pessimistic about the country's future.
Benedict Arnold just sitting there like, this stupid dumb country anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
He just sounds like a petulant football player or something.
Yeah, he sounds like if Captain Archer was during the Revolutionary War.
He wrote to another general, "I'm told General Arnold has become very unpopular among you owing to his associating too much with the Tories." A few days later, Arnold wrote to Greene and lamented over the deplorable and horrid situation of the country at that particular moment, citing the depreciating currency, disaffection of the army, and internal fighting in Congress, which predicting impending ruin.
That's what happened.
Did not change soon.
He couldn't offload his NFTs and his crypto fast enough.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that makes more sense actually.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my place.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. So, there's obviously we don't know, it was a long time ago, but there's plenty of thoughts on the reasons why, between outside influences on him and general dissatisfaction with his place and where the country was heading. I did not find any information on what was offered to him by the British, but I'm sure there was something there as well.
Probably, yeah, all kinds of shit. Now, I will say, Chris, I assume you're pretty much done with Benedict Arnold?
Yes.
This must be the end of your deep dive, because that is the only traitor I know.
No, it is not.
That's the extent of my knowledge.
I have 3 more, actually.
Well, shit.
Ooh.
Rock, can you guess any other ones?
Can I guess? Can I guess any other ones? Are they American traitors?
One of them is. One of the three remaining is.
What about that Valkyrie conspiracy in Nazi Germany? Is that one of them?
It was
Tom
not
Cruise.
what I have
Yeah, is
detailed
Tom
here.
Cruise one of them?
No. Shall I continue?
I guess.
All right, so the next one. Yeah, the next one on my docket here is Robert Hansen, who is a member of the FBI. He was an American FBI agent who spied for Soviet and Russian intelligence services against the U.S. from 1979 to 2001. His espionage was described by the Department of Justice as possibly the worst intelligence disaster in U.S. history.
Wow.
In 79, Hansen approached the Soviet main intelligence directorate, the GRU, and offered his services. He never indicated any political or ideological motive for his actions, telling the FBI after he was caught that his only motivation was financial.
Money.
Cash monies, baby.
Yep. During his first espionage cycle, Hansen provided a significant amount of information to the GRU, including details of the FBI's bugging activities and lists of suspected Soviet intelligence agents. His most important leak was the betrayal of Dmitry Polyakov, a CIA informant who passed enormous amounts of information to the U.S. intelligence while rising to the rank of general in the Soviet army. Another traitor while we're at it. Following a second betrayal by CIA mole Aldrich Ames in 1985, Polyakov was arrested in 86 and executed in 88. Ames was officially blamed for giving Polyakov's name to the Soviets, while Hansen's attempt was not revealed until after his 2001 capture.
I'm surprised that he stayed a spy after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, I mean, he kept going 79 to 2001. That is an incredibly long time.
Is that how long he was actually doing the work, or is that how long
Yes.
it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm sure there was gaps in time when he was giving that information, but during his
well,
final
and I mean,
days-
like he took at least some of that off to release the single Mbop. So
I hate you.
I know.
During the final days with the FBI, Hansen began to suspect something was wrong. In early February of 2001, he asked his friend at a computer technology company for a job. He also believed he heard noises on his car radio that indicated it was bugged, although the FBI was later unable to reproduce the noises that Hansen claimed to have heard. In the last letter he wrote to the Russians, which was found by the FBI when he was arrested, Hansen said that he had been promoted to a do-nothing job outside of regular access to information, and that something has aroused the sleeping tiger. So basically, he kind of knew what was going to happen at this point.
Yeah.
However, Hansen's suspicions did not stop him from making one more dead drop. After leaving a friend at an airport on February 18th, 2001, Hansen drove to Virginia's Foxstone Park. He placed a white piece of tape on a park sign, which was a signal to his Russian contacts that there was information at the dead drop site. He then followed his usual routine, taking a package consisting of a sealed garbage bag of classified material and taping it to the bottom side of a wooden footbridge over a creek. When FBI agents observed this incriminating act, they rushed in to arrest Hansen. Upon being arrested, Hansen asked, "What took you so long?" The FBI waited 2 more days to see if Hansen's SVR handlers would show up at Foxstone Park. When they failed to appear, the U.S. announced the arrest on February 20th. So, as you mentioned before, it's the money.
I mean, it's kind of a fucking stone cold move, though. Going, what took you so long? It's fucking. All right, I might be on Hansen's side now.
No. All right, next on the list, I have Guy Fawkes, who you probably know of, at least.
Oh, yeah.
Does not ringing any bells.
Remember
for
the 5th
Vendetta?
of November?
Oh my god, I was kidding.
Okay.
Did you know that the English word guy, like hey you guys, comes from Guy Fawkes' name?
Really?
Really?
Interesting.
Yes, the word guy as just a generic dude is actually because of Guy Fawkes.
That's
That
fun.
was just a name before that.
So, Guy Fawkes, also known as Guido Fawkes, which I thought was
I don't like that.
he was
Was he Italian?
no, he was, while fighting for the Spanish, was a member of a group of provincial English Catholics involved in the failed gunpowder plot of 1605. In 1604, Fox had become involved with a small group of these English Catholics led by Robert Catesby, who planned to assassinate the Protestant King James and replace him with his daughter, third in the line of succession, Princess Elizabeth. So this was more of a religious conflict than necessarily kind of country on country.
Yeah, does that count as a traitor then? Because he was working, he was not Protestant.
Well, he was working for the Spanish at the same time, though.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. The jury found all the defendants guilty, and the Lord Chief Justice Sir John Popham pronounced them guilty of high treason.
Sir John Popham.
The Attorney General.
Sounds like a mascot for Pringles.
The Attorney General, Sir Edward Coke, told the court that each of the condemned would be drawn backwards to his death by a horse, his head near the ground. They were to be put to death halfway between heaven and earth as unworthy of both. Their genitals would be cut off and burnt before their eyes, their bowels and hearts removed.
Before their eyes. So prior to being killed, they cut off their dicks and burned them in front of them. What a douche move. Holy shit.
That's pretty rough. Yeah. They would then be decapitated and the dismembered parts of their bodies displayed so that they might become prey for the fowls of the air. So, that's pretty hardcore.
All of this is as Jesus would have wanted.
James Sharp, professor of history at the University of York, has described how Guy Fawkes came to be toasted as the last man to enter Parliament with honest intentions. Yeah. The historical romance Guy Fawkes, or The Gunpowder Treason, portrays Fawkes in generally sympathetic light, and in his novel transformed Fawkes and the public perception into an acceptable fictional character. Fawkes subsequently appeared as essentially an action hero in children's books and penny dreadfuls, which that sounds so British, such as The Boyhood Days of Guy Fawkes or The Conspirators of Old London, published around 1905.
Okay,
historian Lewis.
Why though?
According to historian Lewis Call, Fawkes is now a major icon in modern political culture, whose face has become a potentially powerful instrument for the articulation of postmodern anarchism in the late 20th century. So basically, he was sticking it to the man.
Right, I get that from the anarchism kind of aspect, but there's no one the British give a shit about more than the fucking king, and that's who he was trying to kill.
Well, the Spanish king.
No, he was trying to blow up Parliament.
No,
Parliament,
No, he was trying to kill the British king because the British king was Protestant, so that he could install Elizabeth III or whatever. The granddaughter Elizabeth, who was a Catholic. That seems very weird that the British, of all fucking people, would rehabilitate that particular figure, you know? Considering how many monarchs the British are very happy to rehabilitate as soon as they come in power.
Yeah, but this is writers and stuff. It's not like the royalty themselves, though. I mean,
right? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. That's weird.
Yeah. So last on my list is Ephialtes of Trachis. Who does it? Do either of you know who that is?
Is that the dude from Sparta?
Yes, he is. Good.
I saw that movie.
Yeah. So he
was the hunchback guy who couldn't put his shield up enough.
Yeah, I couldn't find any information on whether he was actually disfigured or not. I don't think he was.
I highly doubt it.
I don't think so.
Believe it or not, Xerxes was not actually a god either. I don't know.
Yeah. He betrayed his homeland in hope of receiving some kind of reward from the Persians. Here we go. Once again, just monetarily motivated.
Cash monies.
By showing the army of Xerxes the path around the allied Greek position at the pass of Thermopylae, which helped them win the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC. The allied Greek land forces, which Herodotus states numbered no more than 4,200 men, had chosen Thermopylae to block the advance of the much larger Persian army. Although this gap between
it was only 300.
Although this gap between the Trachinian cliffs and the Malian Gulf was only wide enough for a single carriage, it could be bypassed by a trail that led over the mountains south of Thermopylae and joined the main road behind the Greek position.
I like how fucking old-timey military operations. It's just like, all right, guys, I have a brilliant plan to hold off this Persian invasion. We're going to stay at this one spot where it'll choke them into a bottleneck that's only wide enough for one carriage. And all we have to make sure is that they don't look over there where they could just go the other way.
This is why, the whole concept of like pitched battles is dramatically overplayed in Hollywood. Like most of the time, it was just siege warfare. Like they would just surround a city and just wait out the forces inside.
Yeah. Herodotus notes that this trail was well known to the locals, who had used it in the past for raiding the neighboring Phocians. The Persians used the trail to outflank the defenders. The Spartan king, Leonidas, sent away most of the Greeks, but he himself remained behind with a rear guard composed of 300 of his men, the Thespian contingent composing of 700 Thespians, and a Theban detachment composing of 400 men.
I'm assuming that did not mean that they were like a bunch of like theater kids. Just a lot of bisexual energy coming out of that particular regiment.
I mean, did you see 300?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Ephialtes expected to be rewarded by the Persians, but this came to nothing when they were defeated at the Battle of Salamis. He then fled to Thessaly. The Amphictyons at Pylade. Man, this is a lot of Greek words. I'm doing remarkably well with this.
It's like I'm there, Chris. I thought you may actually have Greek in your family.
They had offered a reward for his death. According to Herodotus, he was killed for an apparently unrelated reason by Antenides of Trachis around 470 BC, but the Spartans rewarded Antenides all the same. They're like, well, we're happy you killed the guy, so here's some cash.
That is what a lucky day to be Antenides.
Yeah, right.
So this dude, what was it? Steve? What was his name?
Ephialtes.
Yeah, Steve. So his plan was to tell the Persians about the goat trail they could take in order to not die. A trail that everyone else already knew about. The Persians didn't because, like, I guess they weren't from there, which is fair.
Yeah.
But, like, he couldn't lie to anyone and be like, I didn't tell him. I don't know who did. Like everyone knows about it. It could have been literally, maybe they tortured some local and got it out of him. I don't know.
Well,
but he was
the
like,
problem was he stood at the top of the cliff and shouted it down at the Persians.
He's like, remember to pay me once you go take that goat trail.
As they were slaughtering the Greeks. Remember, I need a reward for this.
Remember, it's Steve.
Well, that wraps up our look at some historical traitors and what their motivations were, for the most part, except for those embellished by historians and writers. Thus, they want the cash.
Woo!
Cash.
All right. Well, when we come back, we will have some potpourri.
All right, welcome back. So for this week's potpourri, I thought we could take another look at some Reddit hot takes.
Fuck.
Well, like you all saw the post I put in Discord a couple days ago. That's what inspired me here. So yeah, I went digging through the Star Trek subreddit for some, shall we say, controversial posts, just to see what's been drumming up over there. So
Star Trek. Sorry, one real quick though. At some point, we're gonna have listeners from this fucking subreddit.
Sure.
And let me just say that.
Let me just go ahead and annihilate some people right quick.
The Star Trek subreddit is one of the broadest spectrum of people I have ever fucking seen.
Yeah.
Because you have people on the one side getting upvoted for like, I can't believe that this episode of Enterprise ever made it to air. It is some of the most egregious sexist bullshit I've ever seen. And then, like, on the other side, it's like, Captain Picard didn't fuck enough people. Fuck him. And that also has upvotes. So I don't know what's happening.
Oh, you're going to like some of these then.
Am I?
All right. So this first one here comes from Lupercus, but spelled wrong. So
is there a proper way to spell Lupercus?
Yes, it was I think it was mother, like adopted mother of Regulus and Remus from like Roman lore. This has two P's in it instead of a single P. I've never seen it spelled this way, so it's wrong.
Oh, it's like that Steve guy from Sparta. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So the first one's titled Prime Directive or No Prime Directive. Regarding the Prime Directive, as I've seen a lot of discussion on it recently, I have come to the conclusion that it is not objective, clearly defined law, but it can be subjectively interpreted by the captain or commanding officer in general.
I mean, it is treated that way.
Yeah, he's not wrong in what it's used for as a writing tool.
Yeah.
But it is called the Prime Directive. Like, that implies an objectivity to it.
Oh, my dog is yakking in the background because he
Hemi! He so didn't like that take.
No, he did not like that take. But yeah, like, this is some defined, like, executive action somewhere, right? Like, they didn't just start reciting this as, like, some Starfleet mantra.
Yeah. It's definitely defined somewhere.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, Memory Alpha has a bunch of it, like, itemized every time that someone else, like, points out another section of it or whatever. So, like, in dialogue or on screens in the show, like, it has definitely been somewhat itemized as to what all's in there.
There's some sort of, like, legislative standing behind it.
I'm not even sure legislative is the wrong word because technically it is a military doctrine, not actually a law.
Yeah. Right.
Because, like, Starfleet is an institution that exists outside of the Federation. So it was not voted on, if that's your question.
Okay. Speaking of
and if anyone disagrees with me, you come fucking at me. They've got courts martial, you can piss off.
I was going to say, speaking of military, there were a couple of those posts that I specifically avoided.
They go by every week or so.
Yeah, that was going to derail us a little too long. All right, next up, by AAA Ahmed Shin. We reboot the original Star Trek a great deal, but will Next Generation ever be rebooted?
No. Why?
Next question.
The original, it was rebooted into movies. Do we want, like, Next Generation movies? Like,
I will say, I think that it is fair to characterize some of the story arcs in Strange New Worlds as a reboot of the original series.
Isn't Picard a reboot of the Next Generation?
No, it's a sequel. No.
He's just old in it.
He's just older.
But it's
it's not a reboot.
Okay.
But like Spock, Uhura, Kirk, like they're all recast as a rebooted character.
Right.
In Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I guess like the original series has been rebooted 3 times. I'm sorry, twice. Yeah. Twice. It originally and then the other 2 times. Now, I think I'm okay. I don't need a TNG reboot. I'm not sure what they would do with it.
Right. Like Strange New Worlds, you point out, like they did. It's before the original series, like timeline. Yeah. So it's not like
it's more of a prequel, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, I don't mind. Like, I like the Kelvin timeline movies, but like, I wouldn't want the same kind of treatment given to Next Generation. I don't think. Like, I like TNG for what it is, but I want to go explore other stories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the Kelvin timelines were, I mean, while they were Star Trek, it's just like they were like kind of this like box that's over here off to the side of fun action movies that are like Star Trek themed.
Right. Which, don't get me wrong, was fine. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our next post here comes from Blinken Lincoln. I think that he has come up with the canon name for the new version of I've Got Faith of the Heart. The post is titled I've Got Faith of the Heart Campfire Version, which perfectly describes it.
Yeah, there's like a youth pastor playing the guitar behind the Faith of the Heart intro.
Yeah. And he says, as the show gets more serious and dark, the fact that season 3 uses this upbeat tone really is the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all in agreement on this one.
Yeah.
How many times the jarring change from the cold open to the jingly new intro. Ugh.
Like, even this week, like, I had it in my notes. The line right before is a matter of weeks. Jingle, jangle, jingle, jangle, jingle. Like, it's just so tone deaf. It's really funny.
Yep.
Ironic considering it's a song.
Yep. Yeah. Leo Stotch asks, do the Vulcans in Enterprise get any less sufferable or insufferable?
No.
No, I mean, in the way that they don't show up as much.
Although, like, I don't know,
Then
it's one of those
yes.
things where, like, I don't think so. Having now watched the original, the first couple episodes of Discovery again, and having seen Vulcans elsewhere, the problem is that, like, Vulcans who actually belong to high command are insufferable douches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only Vulcans we like are the ones that belong to Starfleet.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be surprising because on Vulcan, it's supposed to be like this meritocracy, and I guess that's true. But the problem is that, like, when everyone's so competent, the only way for you to look more meritorious is if you're just a braggy douche about it. And so, like, they have an entire society which is built upon braggadociousness.
Yeah, like, they're just so entrenched in their ideas of tradition and rituals. It's just hard for them not to be, I think. So next up, we've got Moo Cow 115. In-universe World War III film/series concept and poll. Okay, so this is a little bit of a long one. Let me just get through this and then we can talk about it. So a few articles popping up online explaining World War III at Star Trek. Not read the article posted, but I couldn't post without a link for some reason. Prompted this thought. Would I like to see World War III movie in the Trek universe? ? I reckon so, to be honest. But I just don't know if it would be handled well if you're the average big IP writer. It would be very different from the Trek to the point where it wouldn't be Trek. I reckon if people sat down and wrote lore for a few years and made it a long-term project to come out in 10 years and make it like a Game of Thrones political style thriller, but slowly everything goes tits up. Breakdown of negotiation, skirmishes, and then the bombs drop. Regardless of my ideas on it, what are the community's thoughts on this?
So the problem with this is that it would not be Star Trek.
I have a question.
Not at all.
I have a very significant question.
Uh-huh.
Why?
Right.
And I guess
exactly.
because it's just like the World War III in Star Trek wasn't uniquely Star Trek in any way.
Right.
It was just like the
What
world
story
sucked
are
and
you
we all
telling?
nuked each other. The end. Like, what's the point?
Right. Like the only interesting plot point that comes out of it is the fact that humans survived and then got warp power.
Yeah, like the only thing that would make that a Star Trek is if at the very end, in like some like Montana settlement, like this like young scrappy dude with a bottle of whiskey goes, "Hi, I'm Zephyrin," and like end credits and we're done, because like there's really no like other anything about World War III in Star Trek that is significant
there's no
at all.
compelling story to tell there.
Now,
we know what happens. Everything sucks.
If you want to tell the Khan story, that could be pretty fucking good. The eugenics wars?
Yeah, that could be interesting.
That could be good, because Khan is already a character in that and has a very specific role to play. And if they found a good actor for it, that would be compelling. That'd be some good fucking Game of Thrones-esque political shit.
Pedro Pascal.
Oh my God. Oh, I'd want to, I'd be on Khan's side so much.
Yeah, I feel like that would make an interesting like little mini series.
Yeah. And actually, like if you make you make Pedro Pascal. Oh man, what a great idea! Because it was Ricardo Montalban. Yeah. So you make Pedro Pascal Khan, and you make him really fucking like compelling and like interesting for the first few episodes, and then you have him start to go mad with power, and you start hating him later. Right? Because that's the way to do that story. Because he was wickedly charismatic. Like that's part of his tale. Oh
Right.
man, you could do a great fucking con story.
I have a question though about the World War III thing though.
Okay.
Like, how would you all feel if someone did a movie where they did like a World War III movie? No one ever said it was Star Trek, but at the end, they put in that Zephyrin Cochrane thing.
10 out of 10. No notes. It'd be fucking perfect.
And that's it.
Especially if they never advertised it that way and it
Right,
just popped
yeah.
out.
Don't even
What a great moment.
They were so fucking confused.
Yeah,
even put it in the
because there'd be like
previews.
6 people in every theater that was like, oh, fuck!
Like, would that be the equivalent of what it was like when everyone found out that Darth Vader was Luke's father?
But
man.
only for a few people. My dad says that moment in the movie theater was like a shock went through the entire crowd.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It would be this shock.
For like the 6 people who understand Star Trek.
That'd be
It would
fucking
be so
great.
funny.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
All right. So once again here, Stanford, please hold your comments until I'm done the dramatic reading.
God damn
I'm only going to read the title, and I'm going to read the last sentence. This comes from Podgarama. The Borg were really just the result of a health and safety committee, HR department, and a diversity and inclusivity council getting together, and things got out of
Jesus
hand.
Christ.
The last sentence is, their mission became to make the galaxy an equal opportunities,
Oh
zero
my God.
discrimination safe space. They
Oh,
are
for
just a bit misunderstood.
For fuck's sake.
Like, I have to think this is a troll post.
They're
right? Like,
trolling,
this is just bait.
for sure.
Of course it is.
With the way that it's written. Like, there was definitely, like, I feel like there's definitely somebody out there who could turn them into, like, the woke aliens or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Borg or what happened when woke goes too hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the lines in here is, why are the external lights green only? Advertising their recycling credentials. During Pride Month, all spheres are rainbow colored.
Oh my
I know,
God.
like that joke in isolation, though, that's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, shit.
And then we're going to wrap up this week with the post that started it all. Blue Streak XP asks, could you envision Kevin Sorbo as Jonathan Archer?
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely.
yeah, I have no problem envisioning that whatsoever.
You know what needs a reboot?
Disappointed.
Andromeda? Because he already was a space captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was what was that?
Andromeda.
It was
Andromeda,
fucking
that's
stupid.
right, yeah.
It was a stupid show.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was stupid. He was
Yeah,
stupid in it, and he's still stupid.
The full post is, after watching several Andromeda episodes, I couldn't help but wonder if Sorbo got the job as Archer and led Enterprise. Would it have been more action, or would the show have stayed at its same pace?
I don't understand that sentence because, like, I've seen Sorbo act. It's not any different than Scott Bakula. It's like
No.
white guy with long hair. What's the difference? Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
being
I guess
melodramatic.
like
Okay, like I don't like. I'm not saying Bakula's great or anything, but Sorbo's really bad.
yeah. So there'd be no difference. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why this guy's like, would it be more actiony?
It
First
would
of all,
be worse. It would be
that's
worse.
not how actors work. They're not the ones writing the action.
God, I just want to take this time to remind all of our listeners that they specifically had Bakula pegged for Archer. Like, this was on purpose.
God, I hate this show so much.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks for listening in for another week of Captain's Log Supplemental. As Chris mentioned at the top of the pod, please remember to like, review, share us with your friends. All that stuff really helps us reach out to the broader Star Trek community. You have anything else to say before we wrap up for the week?
No.
Nope.
All right. Have a nice week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.